Just because a game is great doesn't mean that it gets the reputation it deserves.
Only initiates may enter the Hall of the Order of the Harvest Moon.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 forgotten horror games.
Leave you unholy spirit! I command you to leave this child alone!
For this list, we're looking at horror games whose sales or general attention didn't reflect the quality of the games. In other words, if a game didn't get the recognition it deserved, it qualifies. However, we're only looking at games that received an official Western release, so games like Sweet Home won't be included. Number 10, Rule of Rose.
Once upon a time, there was a precious little girl.
This survival horror game focuses on a young woman named Jennifer, who is kidnapped and finds herself in an airship ruled by sadistic young girls.
Did you make a mess again? This is unforgivable, you dirty, dirty girl.
As Jennifer, the player must appease the hierarchy by bringing them offerings. Inspired by fairy tales, a bizarre mystery unfolds throughout the game, as themes of childhood and adulthood pervade the story in intriguing ways. Highlighted by a disturbing aesthetic and a creepy score, the atmosphere and the strange, unique story are what bring this game to greatness. Although that also might be the reason it isn't so well remembered. Number 9, The Seventh Guest.
I don't think you can do this.
Originally released for the PC, this adventure game can now be found on the iOS and Android. Featuring live-action cutscenes, it follows a silent protagonist who must explore a creepy mansion where a strange toy maker once lived.
6 guests were invited one night. Their screams, the only noise.
Throughout the exploration, the player must solve puzzles, all while seeing visions of the past and understanding the truth about himself. Though it looks cheesy now, it was praised by Bill Gates as the new standard in interactive entertainment when it was released. Even now, the general aesthetic, in a way, makes it even more unsettling.
Hey, who are you?
I just want to get out of here.
Number 8, Nocturne.
Stranger, thank you for coming in on such short notice.
Few are aware that the original name for Blood Rain was Nocturne 2, which shows how much that franchise owes to this game. It revolves around the Spook House, a secret government organization that defends from supernatural threats like vampires, zombies, and a voodoo god. Featuring graphics that were revolutionary for the time, including realistic shadow rendering, it was one of the scariest game offerings of its generation. Despite ending on a major cliffhanger, a sequel was never produced, and it's a wonder why the game wasn't more popular.
Besides, you already got to kill a really powerful vampire today, so cheer up.
Number 7, Harvester. This is one game that's not for the faint of heart. Steve is a man who awakens with amnesia in an odd town named Harvest. From there, the plot gets pretty ridiculous.
Are you the Wasp Woman?
I am Tetsuo Crumb. The ignorant of Harvest called me the Wasp Woman.
Featuring such notable moments as a mother being eaten by her children, a baby whose eyes pop out, and just more cannibalism. This is because the creator, Gilbert P. Austin, made the game as a commentary on censorship and video game criticism. Because of the controversy this title generated, the release was delayed, which was the final nail in the coffin, making it a commercial failure. I guess Mr. Austin got what he wanted then?
Oh, it's not as bad as it looks. You just pop them back in.
Number 6, Blood. Blood is a first-person shooter about an undead anti-hero who goes on a quest for vengeance against Chernobog, the dark god whose cult he led during his life. Similar in gameplay to Doom, much of the game involves finding keys and switches to advance through levels and find bosses. What separates Blood from the typical horror FPS is its darkly humorous touch. Borrowing some lines directly from Army of Darkness, as well as elements from other classic horror films, Blood made for a fun, bullet-riddled ride, but also an homage to the horror genre that's soaked in, well, blood. Number 5, I have no mouth and I must scream.
It was you, humans, who programmed me, who gave me birth, who sank me in this eternal straitjacket of substrata rock.
Based on Harlan Ellison's short story of the same name, this game is a point-and-click sci-fi adventure that tells the story of 5 people entrapped by an evil computer that has destroyed the rest of humanity. Each character must participate in his or her own adventure that sees them confronting their fatal flaws.
What hellhole did that godless machine put me in this time?
The dark and deep subject matter, including rape, suicide, and genocide, are made all the more horrific by the nightmarish art style.
Your reward will be more years of searing, blistering anguish, Benny.
Number 4, Dino Crisis. To sell this game to you in 4 words, Resident Evil with dinosaurs. From Shinji Mikami, director of the aforementioned series, this game follows Regina and her team, who are sent to investigate a remote island research facility which, wouldn't you guess it, has been ravaged by dinosaurs. Perfectly mixing action-adventure with survival horror, it's like the Jurassic Park video game we never got. However, despite 2 more poorly received games in the series, it was never quite as popular as it should have been, being overshadowed by its sister series. Still, it's worth checking out, and it's one of the best dinosaur fighting experiences out there. Number 3, Clock Tower.
Clock Tower.
Known as Clock Tower 2 in Japan, this release introduced the West to gaming's most underrated horror villain, Scissor Man. The game was unfortunately overlooked, despite spawning 2 sequels and a spiritual successor. This point-and-click thriller tells the story of Jennifer and Helen, as they must try to find Scissor Man and put a stop to his brutal murders. As the mystery unfolds, different events occur based on the decisions that the player must make, boasting a total of 10 different endings. A spooky atmosphere blends fantastically with a compelling and creepy mystery to form a game that's wholly unique. Number 2, The Suffering.
You hear what this one did?
I don't want to know, and you know when
He beat his ex-wife to a bloody pulp. Killed her with his fists.
While the survival horror genre was dominated by Silent Hill and Resident Evil, The Suffering was able to create a different experience for the player. The gameplay ups the ante by injecting elements of the action genre into the combat.
How did it get this far? I remember you from my dream. You're the one.
When a prisoner is about to be executed for a crime he doesn't remember committing, the prison becomes a host of a plethora of supernatural entities. It sports a deep gameplay system with an insanity meter and moral choices that affect the game's ending, as well as fantastic creature design, each one based on a method of execution. It's a dark, thrilling adventure that never lets up.
Come on then. We may hate each other. We may die anyway. But we will kill more of these putos together than alone.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions.
Return to the fires of hell! The power of Christ compels you!
ここ何これ
Come on, please.
Number 1, Clive Barker's Undying.
Funny thing though, the more I saw, the more I believe there are forces beyond our control.
Clive Barker, the author behind Hellraiser, Candyman, and more, lent his macabre animation to this first-person survival horror. Taking place in 1922, Patrick Galloway travels to the Covenant estate after a strange alert from his old friend, and uncovers an excess of supernatural horrors at the mansion, including his friend's reanimated siblings.
Great hall of paintings. There is the truth. Image becomes reality.
Patrick must solve the mystery of the curse and bring an end to it in a delightfully terrifying adventure. Despite a positive reaction and a cliffhanger ending, the game sold poorly and did not generate any sequels, robbing the gaming world of what could have certainly been one of horror's best franchises.
It seems I've come under the watchful eye of the Reaper, my friend.
Do you agree with our list?
Shocked.
What's your favorite horror game that you feel like everyone today has forgotten?
Wait. Please.
For more underrated top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
Of course, Jeremiah,